All right, welcome back. We're turning our attention now to a different matter. But this morning we've got Mr. Saliu Lukman, who is the Director General of Progressive Governors Forum. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
Well, Mr. Lukman, you have gone ahead and written the book, Power of Possibilities and Politics of Change in Nigeria, focusing on internal democracy in the ruling All Progressives Congress. Now, looking through some of the excerpts of the book and the concerns that you seem to have raised here, how urgent things need to be addressed if your party, by extension the country, needs to move forward. I'm just wondering, could you what are the highlights, the key things that are worthy of note which warranted your writing this book?
Well, first, Chamberlain, it's good you asked what led me to writing the book. Right? The book is basically a reminder to the leadership of our party, the APC, about the fact that the party is a product of negotiation and is a product of sacrifice. And it is titled Power of Possibility because it came about at a time when many people never give it a chance that it is possible for the merger of opposition party to take place in Nigeria. And our leaders were able to negotiate that successfully within a space of 6 months, between January 2013 and June 2013. And that is why the book is dedicated to the 3 national chairmen of the legacy parties. The Action Congress of Nigeria, the All Nigeria People's Congress, and the Congress of Progressive Change, in the persons of Chief Bisi Akande, Dr. Obonnaya Ono, and Prince Tony Momon. These were leaders who led those parties to make all the necessary sacrifices and led the negotiation that gave birth to the All Progressive Congress. Now, in terms of the highlight of the book is segmented basically into 2. One part deals basically with issues around all the development within the party, the APC. Some of the challenges, and it's not just highlighting the challenges by way of critique, it's coming with some recommendation which the party need to really consider, and hopefully address. The second part has to do with issues of governance, because from 2015 to date, the party had the privilege of governing the country. Now, in terms of the highlight of the party issues, I want to preface it by arguing that the development of the future of our democracy depends on our capacity to build our political parties. And my position, which is reflected very well in the book, is that APC is a work in progress. And we'll be lying to ourselves if we said the successful merger of the opposition parties and the defeat of the PDP in 2015 will resolve all the challenges around political party development in Nigeria. So I have highlighted some of the key challenges, and I will mention the few of them now. One is the whole question, if Nigerians will remember, under the Bisi Akande leadership of the party, we commend the process of membership database, which was attacked by the PDP government under President Jonathan with the allegation that APC was going to clone membership card. Now, we need to return to that because a number of the challenges we are facing today as a party around the whole question whether candidate will be produced via direct or indirect primary is dependent on our capacity to have a credible membership database. And our party leadership need to return to that and conclude on that project on the basis of which the process of candidate selection will be sorted out in such a way that there will be most of the conflict associated with candidate emergence will be resolved. The second issue has to do with the whole question of funding. Today, we tend to ignore that aspect. We tend to take it for granted. The reality, and it's not just a problem of APC, it's a problem of almost all political parties. Because there is no funding, almost every member of the party is a free rider. And we need to return to that. And a situation where we don't sort out funding, party leadership will not have condition of service. And I am arguing that if we are able to sort out the problem of funding, it is possible to now benchmark the condition of service of party leadership with public service condition of service, so that a party leader will have that privilege of not looking up to elected leadership for basic means of running the party. And unless we do that, the whole question of party supremacy will be in jeopardy. And I think we need to take that very seriously as a party. The other issue related to party development has to do with what I call the need for us to now put in what I call code of conduct within the party for leadership. Elected leaders need to be regulated by the provision of bylaws which regulate their conduct in such a way that they can be really directed by the party. Now, we tend to take a number of these things for granted, and I feel in terms of party development, because unless we sort out this issue, the whole issue of internal democracy within parties will remain a mirage, will just be chasing shadows. Now, related to governance, there are about 4 issues that I have raised, which number 1 is the whole question of rebuilding the public service. Now, since 1985, Nigerian public service has been undergoing systematic destruction, I will say. And that is why the whole debate about public service now is about cost. People look at the public service not in terms of what it can deliver, but in terms of the costs related to operational costs related to salaries. And I am arguing, and it's not a new argument. Anybody related to familiar to some of this argument knows that Nigerian public service is basically the same size with Brazilian public service. Our population is the same size. I don't think Brazilians are faced with the kind of challenge we are facing. Part of the problem is that what is the public service doing? We need to return to the era whereby there are development targets. We are guided, our public service is driven by the need to meet certain development targets.
Right, let me ask you, you also say that if the party continues on this current path of lack of forgiveness, it will affect the chances of your party. Now, of course, there may be people who are not happy with the way the ministerial list has turned out, so to them, they may be further aggrieved. But when you speak of lack of forgiveness, in the first place is, does the party even identify that all of these challenges you have raised in the book actually are problems they need to address? Do they see it as such?
Well, again, I'm happy, Chamberlain, you read that. I think that is one of the fundamental issues. We need to really understand one of the core responsibilities of party leadership is the need to resolve conflict. And so long as parties are about contesting election, every election will come with its own conflicts. And our leaders need to really, really deploy themselves in terms of redressing a number of these conflicts. I think at this point, my own position is to appeal to our leaders. We can't continue on the trajectory we are going. New conflicts are emerging while old ones are not resolved. The reality of what has happened to us as a party is that conflict that we had in 2015 snowball into 2019 election. And if care is not taken, the same conflict of 2019 will snowball into 2023. And I think at this point is to appeal to our leaders. And I believe our leaders have what it takes to resolve all the conflicts. You can count the states where we have conflict, we have problem of leadership, because the conflicts are basically leadership conflicts, you know, emanating from the contest of the last election. Is it Zamfara, is it Rivers, is it Ogun, is it Imo, or is it now recently Edo? These are basically leadership conflicts. And I believe the party is blessed with a national chairman who is one of the most skillful negotiators, most skillful mediators the country has produced. And I think it's to appeal to him to really deploy those skills within the party, and let's stop celebrating some of this conflict in the public. Let's go back within the structures, because I believe if the structures of the party are made to function, a number of these issues can be resolved. And I think that is the challenge, and that is some of the issues I have read, that is the need for the structures of the party to operate as provided in the constitution of the party. And I think one that is done, because for instance, take the case of Edo, there is no reason why the issue of Edo will be debated in the public domain. There is no reason why even the issue of Edo will go to National Assembly. These are internal party matter, because all the people in the conflict are members of APC. Why is it impossible to escalate the issue from state structure to national structure of the party and resolve it? I think those are the challenges that need to be addressed. And I think the national chairman is in a position to really address matters in that way. And sincerely speaking, Chamberlain, I think part of our problem as a nation is that we keep highlighting issues that dismiss our leaders. I don't think that is the right way to go. Because if you take all the critique, you read the issue of ministerial list, if you take that, it's taking us back, because PDP is still in election mode. So what they are doing is to really now hold us hostage in that election mentality, whereby it's all about contest between APC and PDP. Well, election is over. Now, the challenge is basically to now look at what support can be given to elected leadership to deliver a number of their promises. And that is why my attitude to the whole issue of ministerial list is that what concretely are the proposals in terms of policy that they can consider, and in terms of what program they should do, they should run with to deliver a number of the campaign promises APC has. And that is why the section on governance, I don't believe we should just reduce the matter to the question of critique. Every individual will have his own shortcomings, so also every individual will have his or her own strength. Now, I don't think we should allow a situation where PDP will hold us hostage as if we are still contesting election. Election is over.
Is it the PDP holding you hostage, or party members are holding the party hostage from these challenges you've highlighted?
I don't get it.
You say PDP is holding you hostage, but you highlighted a lot of challenges with many things. On the contrary, it is these challenges that is holding the party hostage. For instance, you talked about it, and many think that the party is using the instrumentality of the National Assembly to try and intimidate a state governor. And they think, look, lawyers have said, look, there is no position in law that gives room for all of this. And they thought that your party should have known better.
Well, we can argue along that road to say that the party will have known better. But there is no, whichever way the party adopts, there will always be challenges. Now, my position is that we need to come forward with recommendations that will enable the party. I am arguing that a number of the challenges that we face today are opportunities, which once we resolve will put the party in a better position to handle not just these particular challenges, but other challenges that will emerge in the future. Because whether we like it or not, politics is about managing a number of these challenges. It's not, there cannot be one straitjacket formula that you will have on the basis of which there will be no problem. Now, I am arguing that PDP is holding the nation hostage as if we are still contesting the election. And that is why after the election, the whole question was, when will Buhari submit his list of ministerial nominees? Even when National Assembly has not been convened. Because who is he going to submit it to? Is he submitting it to the public? He's submitting it to the National Assembly. Now, after submitting it to the National Assembly, the issue is that this ministerial list is not what is being expected. Is it what you are expecting, or what the president adjudged will be the best way, the best team that will enable him to deliver? And I think as a member of the party, my position is that what is it that I can do to support the president and to support the members of his team in terms of delivering on the campaign promises? Because at the end of the day, this president will finish his tenure, another president will come, whether it is APC or any other party that is ruling the nation.
Right. Let me just say, when you say that, you know, the PDP is holding the party hostage, but the matter is still before the tribunal, and it's not just the PDP talking about it. The country is speaking about even the ministerial list. Many people in the country did raise questions about those on the list who they thought have questions to answer, and then they are on this ministerial list. So why would you now say that that is the PDP?
You see, for me, Chamberlain, let's get it clear. If you say the matter is before tribunal or if the matter is before the courts of law, we should have the confidence in the courts of law to make judgment. We shouldn't preempt. We shouldn't attempt to preempt what the courts are going to come out with. Let the court come out and pass judgment on those people on the basis of which we can then say, okay, remember, and I'm not a lawyer, and honestly, I'm not a fan of lawyers, because at the end of the day, they are the same people that tell us that everybody should be adjudged innocent until proven guilty.
Parties should be a fan of lawyers. Lawyers have gotten them a lot of victories. So I think they should like lawyers, just on a lighter note, don't you think?
Well, it's not a question of liking them or disliking them. I just say I'm not a fan of lawyers, because at the end of the day, here we are. If once you are before them, you just have to be an onlooker. Whatever they say, whether it's right or wrong, you just have to be an onlooker. You can disagree, but my position is that, and I still maintain my position, I'm not a fan of lawyers. I don't want to have anything to do with them, but if I have to, so be it. But the issue, Chamberlain, when I say PDP is holding us hostage, it's not holding APC hostage, it's holding the nation hostage. Because at the end of the day, they are not even concentrating in terms of building their own party to prepare for the next round of election. They are basically now still campaigning as if the election has not taken place. And I am arguing that now the election has taken place, it's time to now really agree until the next 4 years we are not going to have election.
All right, Mr. Lukman, we will go to break, but we'll come back. We'll still have a few more minutes because this book is not about the PDP. The book is about your party getting their acts right, because you think they are not staying on the path for which the people elected them, if I get you corrected. But you respond a little further when we'll come back in a moment. Stay with us.
Final moments now. Mr. Lukman, earlier you said that, and in your book as well, that the national chairman of your party is an excellent negotiator. That's on the one hand. On the other hand is the reality that many of the issues that you have raised are handling right under his authority. How do you respond to, how do you marry these two positions?
Well, my honest position is that we just have to appeal to him, the national chairman of the party, because a lot of the responsibility in terms of resolving some of these very critical issues of leadership conflict in the party, I mean, is within his purview to address. And if you look at it, my position is that as much as possible, the National Working Committee under his leadership has to try as much as possible not to bring itself down to the level of being one of the disputants in the different leadership conflict that we are having across the country. And I think it's not for me, because I can say I'm a mentee to Comrade Adams. I worked under him for over 16 years, and I know that his standards are quite high, and the thing to do is to get him to bring those standards to bear within the party. I give you one concrete analogy, I mean, not analogy, one concrete case that I think if he is able to take steps to really address that, it will go a long way. I mean, the last time the National Executive Council of the party or the National Caucus of the party met was August last year. So we are basically talking about a year now. And that structure of the party is supposed to be like the organ that takes decision on the basis of which the National Working Committee will be implemented.
Okay, I need to squeeze this in because we have to go now. When you say funding, because I also believe that number one, money bags funded your party, and secondly, your party is benefiting from state resources. Is that the case? Is that the kind of concern you have about funding?
Chamberlain, I think we will be leaving a number of things hanging if we approach it this way. Funding, my position about funding is that we need to really ensure that issues of subscription are defined and structures of the party are working to collect those subscriptions from members on the basis of which it will now form the pool of funds that the party will be working with. Now, on the issue, because I don't want to leave the issue of reconciliation hanging, I feel very strongly.
Okay, but what we will do, we'll find a way to have that, you shed a lot more light. Maybe we'll have a bigger panel. Maybe you can equally look at that. Maybe, who knows? The PDP might like to join you and look at that book as well, concerning the parts where you mentioned them. But we thank you for coming on this morning. Sally Lukman is DG Progressive Governors Forum, and all the best with your book. That is the show today. We thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kade Kikuri.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.